Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for January 27th. January 27th is the 27th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 338 days remaining to the end of the year, 339 in leap years. Today's word is portfolio. Portfolio is a noun that has several meanings, although those meanings are related, beginning with a hinged cover or flexible case for carrying loose papers, pictures, or pamphlets, or a set of pictures, such as drawings or photos, either bound in a book or loose in a folder, or a selection of a student's work, such as papers and tests compiled over a period of time, used for assessing performance or progress, or the securities held by an investor, or the commercial paper held by a financial house, such as a bank. So the word portfolio can relate either to the case that holds the papers or the papers within the case, or the concept or representation of such. I'd like to take a moment to mention that links to my research are included in the show notes. I ask you to go ahead and click that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with others with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And there is a link in the show notes to my This Day in History playlist. You can see all of them there if you want to. And I also post these on a blog, and there's a link to that there as well. Also, I'll put the link to the playlist up in the corner up there. Alrighty, and with that, we're going to start with the birthday of pianist and composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, born January 27th, 1756. He was already composing at the age of 5, musical genius. He composed more than 600 works during his lifetime. Sadly, he died in 1791 at the young age of 35 from an unknown illness. He had a fever and a rash, and there are hundreds of diseases with fevers and rashes. Could have been any one of those when he was 35. The University of Georgia was founded on January 27, 1785, becoming the first public university in the United States. In case you're wondering, I've got my notes on this little iPad here. That's what I'm looking at. On January 27, 1825, the U.S. Congress approved Indian Territory in what is present-day Oklahoma, clearing the way for forced relocation of the eastern Indians along the Trail of Tears. In fact, there is a form of gray to black obsidian called Apache Tears. This is the birthday of Lewis Carroll, born January 27, 1832. He is, of course, best known as the author of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and its sequel, Through the Looking Glass. He was also a notable poet and mathematician. Lewis Carroll lived to the age of 65. Thomas Edison received a patent for his incandescent light bulb on January 27, 1880. On January 27, 1939, the first flight of the Lockheed P-38 Lightning, a plane that was developed for the U.S. Army and used during World War II. Now, we've mentioned the Siege of Leningrad before. This blockade may be one of the longest and most destructive sieges in history, as well as possibly the costliest siege in history due to the number of casualties which were suffered during it. To recap, the Germans, under order of Hitler, were sent to take the city of Leningrad, now known as St. Petersburg. Leningrad is located at the base of an isthmus between Lake Ladoga and the Gulf of Finland. I believe the Germans' thought was that if they could surround the city and blockade Leningrad's supply chain, they could starve them out in just a few weeks. The Finland's right above that. The Finns were supposed to block from the north and the Germans from the south. Now, Hitler didn't really want to occupy the city because then he would be responsible for the food supply. He preferred to starve the city out. None of them accounted for such a determined people as the inhabitants of Leningrad. The Finns were not so focused on taking Leningrad. They were more interested in regaining some territory that they had lost in an earlier battle. Real estate was a matter of real estate for the Finns. But the whole thing was long, drawn out, and quite wearying. The siege that was supposed to starve Leningrad out in just a few weeks lasted 2.5 years. And on January 27, 1944, the 900-day siege was lifted. 900 days. 2.5 years. Nuclear testing at the Nevada test site began on January 27, 1951. On January 27, 1971, the Paris Peace Accords officially ended the Vietnam War. And that's all I have for you today. Hope you learned something you didn't know before. I know I sure did. Always do. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. I'll also put a link to last year's episode of This Day in History in the iCards for you. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty. Let's read that again. Neighbors. Let's try something different here. That might not make it into the video, we'll see. Okay, let's try that again. Not too salty though. Gotta be just right. No, it's not. Okay, hold on. That's not a nice way to say it.